So just because you bought a house for $500,000 does not mean that the value or the replacement cost of the property will be the same. If you have a jewelry, one piece of ring cost you $4,000, they will not give you the $4,000 check. That insurance companies have the right to drop your coverage.
Do all your clients call you, hey Geetu, I was in an accident?
You know what? They've got me on their fingertips because they've got my cell phone. So, for sure.
Oh my God, I got water in my basement.
Yes.
And what am I going to do
Yes,
next?
that would be a very interesting conversation, for sure.
So, thanks Geetu for being here with us today. Share with my audience a few things about insurance and homeowners insurance and what they should look out for.
Thank you.
But first, for those of us who don't know you, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure, if you don't know me. That is, my name is Geetu Mistry, and I have my insurance agency in Eagleview in Exton, and I've been an agency owner for the past 15 years. So yeah,
We're not that old yet, are we?
we're not at all. Yes, absolutely not. But yes, it's glad I'm finally, we're here. We're talking about it. It's
great.
It's been wonderful.
Yeah. Geetu is my person for all questions related to homeowners insurances. Anytime there's an insurance question, we run to her and she helps us out. So I figured let's put together a video about some basics in terms of what a homeowner should know about buying insurance when they buy a home. So your lender requires it. It is a requirement. So even at the settlement table, if you don't have your insurance, you can go to settlement. Because you have a loan and the lender requires that you have homeowners insurance.
Right.
And so what are the things we're looking out for? And we sort of divided, I was just chatting with her earlier. Let's look at 5 things that you should be looking out for when you think homeowners insurance. So Geetu, without further ado, we'll have you tell us first about the coverage, what kind of coverage?
So good question here, Bella, because a lot of time, if someone, either it's their first home that they purchased, or more than one home, whether it's a primary or secondary or rental, the first thing you want to kind of take a look at the policy, the comprehensive coverage of that. All right. So what that means is, what is the actual cost of insurance? What is actually covered? We call this a dwelling coverage or replacement cost, right? So God forbid if there is ever a total loss to the property, what will be that amount that the insurance company will specifically cover you, right? To rebuild the property or replace. First is the actual cash value. So that's two separate policies. A lot of people just don't realize that until they kind of take a deeper dive or talk to their agent in discussing the actual coverage and what it entails.
So what you're saying is, I just bought a house and my house cost $500,000.
Right.
So I shouldn't automatically assume that my coverage is $5,000.
Correct. So just because you bought a house for $500,000 does not mean that the value or the replacement cost of the property will be the same.
Because it's going to cost a lot more to build that same house.
Correct.
Okay.
So the rebuild cost, the part of labor, all those things that we take into consideration in replacement cost. So the $500,000 house could very well have a $700,000 replacement value.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So that's very important to know, because if you go by just the full $500,000, because that's the amount that you bought the house for, every year, if that does not get adjusted based on the inflationary adjustments or the replacement adjustment, you cannot rebuild a house for the same amount 5 years down the road.
So this is even incredible, because we've seen such appreciation in home values right now, right? So when I bought the house, my house was worth whatever, and my insurance policy was for a certain amount.
Right.
But over the years, does Allstate automatically change that?
Yes.
Okay.
So a lot of times, if your policy is written with 100% replacement cost, they automatically adjust that each year.
Okay.
Based on the average cost of inflation.
Because the home values have increased.
Correct.
Right.
Cost
right.
of material, parts, labors, everything, etc. Right?
Yeah.
Which is a good thing for you. So if you see your premium increase slightly year after year, it's a good thing.
It's a good thing. Ask them what it is.
The agent and say, hey, listen, what is my replacement cost now versus what it was a year ago or 5 years ago?
Right. That's helpful.
That is very helpful. So so that's sort of starting point where you actually see when you actually bought the policy and what that entails, right?
I have a lot of clients who tell me, Bela, so I have to give an estimate of closing costs when people buy their house, right? And there's a component for homeowners insurance, right? And we put in a number. And generally, we tell them that if you bundle your cars and your home and everything, you get a better one. It all depends on what your coverage is.
Sure.
But we're estimating it to be this.
Sure.
And I see clients sometimes push back on that almost and say, that's too high. I was like, it's only an estimate,
Right.
first of all.
Right.
You know, it's only an estimate.
Right.
It'll be actuals. Your bill is going to be whatever yours is.
Correct.
But the idea is to not skimp on that. The idea
Right.
is you don't want to pay a lower premium to save money because God forbid something happens and
Right.
it's a disaster.
That's the key thing, right?
Yeah.
God forbid something
Yeah.
happens. And
Yeah.
then, you know, you would hope that nothing ever happens, but it only takes that one claim
Yes.
to really make or break
Yes.
when you actually have to see if your policy is going to cover,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? The loss.
Yeah.
So, and that kind of, you know, we talk about what those losses are, and we can certainly discuss this more, you know, broadly.
Yeah.
Uh,
So what's included in the
Right.
policy, right?
So, Pennsylvania specific, right? So we have what we call some inclusions. So there is a fire, theft, windstorm, and hailstorms,
Okay.
right? So some of those specifics are included and should be included in each and every homeowner's policy, right?
And they typically are. Is that the fine print we should be reading?
Correct.
Oh,
yes.
okay.
Always read the fine print. If you're not sure, you talk to your agent. Okay.
Okay.
If you have one. So
Once again,
Yeah.
tell me again. Fire,
fire, theft, windstorm, and hailstorm.
hailstorm.
Right. So these are some of the specifics that should be included in your homeowner's policy.
Okay.
In Pennsylvania,
Okay.
specific to our state, specific to the region that we're talking about too. I mean, there's a lot of other things that we could discuss.
So my audience is probably
Right.
mostly the Philly suburbs. That's who I serve.
Right.
So Philly
Right.
suburbs is
Yes.
yeah.
Likewise. So, you know, same thing. So, you know, these are some of those things that you want to make sure that they're included. So if there is any of those incidents that happen, which is sudden accidental fire, windstorm, hail damage, they are covered and should be in inclusion in your homeowners.
Always. Now, the minute you say inclusions, the question happens,
Yes.
what are the exclusions,
Correct.
right?
So that's another topic to cover. It will take us more than one setting.
Yeah.
But few broad overall, you know, if I can sum it up, is your sump pump failure.
Oh my
Okay?
God, that
Yes.
happens way
Yes.
more often than you would imagine.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Your backing of sewers sump pump, right?
Okay.
You have your sinkhole. A lot of insurance companies do not offer that coverage, right? So these are what we call exclusions. Now, some companies, if you ask to your agent, they should be able to add it to the policy, meaning they can endorse it on the policy, which means there is an additional premium that you must pay to include those specific coverages that are not automatically included in your homeowner's package. All right, so your backing of sewer sump pump, any type of damage due to that, like water damage, right, or a sinkhole damage, or any type of pipe burst. Okay, all of these may not be covered unless you
Have a
buy-
specific additional thing.
Correct.
That's a little scary. Pipe
Yes.
burst with winter and all. I would have assumed that is automatically covered.
So yes, so there's a lot of like that's
Don't
why
make
I mentioned.
assumptions.
That's what we talk about. This is like a huge discussion of topic that we must.
We'll have a whole new
Yes.
show for this.
Because there will be a separation of what is covered as a pipe burst, water backup versus what is not covered as your
Right.
primary homeowner's coverage, right? So, but we're talking specific right now as a broad.
Yeah.
The exclusion of the property policy
right.
that these may not be included unless you pay an additional premium.
So you mentioned sinkholes a little while
Yes.
ago. Now that's a huge problem in our area,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
This Downingtown, Malvern area has sinkhole situations,
Correct.
and people may not even know
Right.
that Allstate offers.
It is an automatic coverage. We also we are including in every homeowner's policy. We actually added that coverage to existing homeowner's policy when we couldn't even offer that before.
Yeah.
So now it's part of the homeowner's policy. Sinkhole is automatically covered.
Wow.
So a lot of carriers just
This
don't
is
offer
huge.
that.
This is huge. And I
Absolutely.
remember, I know this specifically because I was showing homes in Malvern
Right.
and Atwater. And remember that day, and I called
Yes.
you from the deck saying, well, there's a sinkhole activity here, I'm
Right.
told. And can somebody buy insurance? So, the buyer was worried about buying there. So
Right.
that's it.
So yeah, so definitely, like I said, if you're not sure, talk to your agent, take a look at your policy, just review make sure that you understand the specifics of the coverage.
So to summarize this point, I'm like, there are some things that are almost always covered, but then there are some that are excluded and will need extra coverage.
Correct, absolutely.
Like personal property, right? Like for like if you have valuable antiques or
so yes, so
jewelry.
Correct. So any of those that you just mentioned, if this has a specific value to it, so people have those heirloom that they passed on from generations, right? With piece of
and they have
jewelry.
sentimental value too.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
So you want to make sure that you are separately adding that specific item or items to the policy, which will entail additional premium. Because let's just say if the value of the jewelry is $20,000, you want to make sure that is included for that amount, which means you will either need an appraisal or the receipt of the purchase receipt, rather, whichever one you have within the last couple of years, and insurance will then insure that particular item for the amount that you paid for.
Right.
So if it's $20,000, you can lose that. It could be a loss, stolen, any type of theft anywhere in the country or outside the country. It will be covered.
It'll be covered.
Correct.
Yeah.
So
sometimes we don't even think about that. We don't even think about that. You just assume nothing bad's ever going to happen to you.
And one thing I do want to point out specific to the actual homeowners policy, a lot of companies, they have what they call like inclusion of jewelry firm up to $5,000.
Okay.
So automatically people assume, oh, it's covered.
Okay. But
No, it's
5,000 is not.
It's not covered.
Okay.
So if you have a jewelry, one piece of ring cost you $4,000,
That's
they
it.
will not give you the $4,000 check.
Oh.
So here you go.
Oh.
Because you have not itemized, you have not actually added that particular item to your policy.
Oh boy.
Okay?
Okay.
So just don't be fooled if you see there's a whole inclusion of $5,000 for jewelry, watches, furs. It's not itemized.
Oh, it has to be itemized for it to be.
Correct.
Okay. Wow.
Correct.
That's a whole.
Yes.
So that brings me to deductibles, right?
Yeah.
So how do you evaluate policies? So do you encourage people to shop, or how? Like, everybody wants to do the cheapest possible thing.
Right.
Like make my deductible as low as possible.
Right.
Is that a good way to go?
No.
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 I don't want to pay more money.
I tell you why. So either you pay more money now,
Okay.
or you keep on adding those smaller claims, which by the way, what makes you a high risk potential customer for that insurance company. So let's just say, for instance, you have a low deductible, argument $6,000. People are more likely to file those claims if they're a smaller type of activity, right? Oh, it's $2,000.
Oh, I had a small leak there. It was 2,000. I'm going to claim it.
I'm going to claim it because
Yeah.
hey, even if I can get like $1,000, that's fine after I pay my deductible.
Yeah.
What happens on the back end now, especially with the insurance companies and the industry is changing dynamics, that you become a very high risk client for them.
Because I've made so many claims now.
Because you have so many multiple claims, smaller claims, that insurance companies have the right to drop your coverage.
Ah.
Okay?
Yes.
So by law, it's called basically breakup law, that we have the right to not insure you or non-renew you as a client if we think that you are a potential high risk.
What a problem client, huh?
Right.
Okay.
So for me, I always advise people, especially in our area here in the suburbs, that go with a high deductible. Not only that it's going to help you save some money, right? If you're a $1 million home, $2,500 deductible should be minimum. Okay, it's not a high deductible anymore.
Yeah.
Right, because cost of repair.
Everything is gone right.
Right.
Yeah.
So 25,000. I mean 2,500 or 5,000. It's okay to have that, right? Not only will help you to lower your cost of insurance, but also will encourage you not to file those smaller type of claims. And listen, if you are ever in doubt, you talk to your agent. You call and say, hey, Geetu, what do you think I should do? Should I or should I just pay out of pocket?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, if you don't have an insurance agent, then you hope that whoever is
call
answering, whoever is answering on the back end of it will advise you the same. But at least with me, you're just not going to get that company answer. It's just going to be, hey, listen, you know what? I'd rather you pay out of pocket.
Customized. Yeah. So this is where we come to personal service, and so the claims process and all that. When something bad has happened to you, you're already stressed, and now you need someone who's thinking straight to help you out with what to do next, right? So I'm gonna actually give Geetu a personal endorsement here. I got into a car accident, no fault of mine, and someone just clipped me, and I was not even in our state. It was in New Jersey. And yes, my first call would have been to my husband, but he wasn't reachable. So my next call was to my insurance agent, was to Geetu. And she helped me with the entire process from start to finish, in the sense, well, get a cop there, first of all, file a police report, right? Get the guy's license plate in case he starts running off, you know, and things like that, which I was just hit, so I wasn't thinking straight, you know, so those kind of things helped. And then of course the whole Allstate claims process, that was a whole other thing, but we got it all, and hey, it was no fault of mine, so I didn't have to, you know, really do much, but it has to go through its paces, the motions.
Of course. And you know what, listen, you know, when you have a claim, it's never a pleasant experience. It's not something people look forward to.
Suddenly your house is at fire, right? Like
and we had that incident that just happened recently, right? So I mean, this is actually so close to home that, you know, it makes you wonder. I hope that they had sufficient coverage to take care of.
Now I'm thinking about it, I should talk to them. There was another client of mine who had the entire house, a single family house, caught fire. And it was due to some titanium battery in the trash. Would you believe it? It's something innocuous that you just throw in the trash, and the whole house caught fire. So,
but you know, and you would just hope that the insurance took care of
everything.
And and you know, I know that this placement is not going to be easy for the family. You know, but at the end of the day, at least everybody's safe. They walked out safely. No one was injured. No one was hurt.
Absolutely.
I think that's a plus. But you know, and these are the unfortunate situations that where you actually have to take a deeper dive and say, okay, you know, I need to set up a review. I need to talk to someone specialized in the field who can help me and guide me. And it's not just about the money; it's about making sure, do I have the right coverage?
So when you say review, how often do you recommend?
So I'd say at least once a year.
Once a year?
Unless situations change. You know, you have kids who are just becoming young drivers.
Yeah, you put on a driver onto your policy, or you've sold your house, or something happened.
Anything, you know, any major life events that happen. You got married, you got divorced, anything for that matter that you know that has happened to your life, you almost always want to talk to your agent and sit down and just have a thorough discussion. You know, maybe things need to be changed, and you know, reviews need to happen, and policies, coverages need to be changed. So I think ultimately, as you mentioned, and thank you for the endorsement, because it's, you know, to me, every client is a personal interaction.
Do all your clients call you, hey Geetu, I was in an accident?
You know what? They got me on their fingertips because they've got my cell phone. So you know, day and night. Not that they bother me during the night, but you know. And again, you know, that's the personalized thing, right? I mean, you've been in business for so many years. People know you by your name, right? So they know where to find you. I think it's the same with me, because I think that we built that credibility in the neighborhood just for that specific reason, where people, you know that it's easy to approach you. Reach you.
Absolutely. What I say is, it's not, you don't reach out to these professionals only when it's time to buy or sell. We're here for you the entire time.
Absolutely.
So, absolutely. This was very helpful, Geetu. This was the basics, but I'm going to pull you in again on that specifics about what's not covered. Oh my God, I got water in my basement, and what am I going to do next?
That would be a very interesting conversation for sure. And yes, here's too many more.
I know. But thank you for stopping and helping us out with this.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure. Take care.